welcome to the Triple Scoop, and you're in for the first ever extra scoop that we've ever done. And so the way this works is we're breaking from our regular format and going for, kind of a different conversation style. So as you can probably hear, we're in the car right now driving out to a Renaissance fair, all as a family. There's Owen. That's fun.
Owen can be the extra scoop.
Owen is the extra scoop! Ah, baby scoop! Anyway, so...
He's the cherry on top.
Aw, this is so cute. Stop making me think this is all cute. So anyway, this is just kind of a one-off. We might do more of these down the line, but we were going to discuss some spooky stuff in October, but of course, on the road, it might not just be the best idea. So, as a reminder, we have roughly about 7 videos up right now. We're going to keep putting stuff up as well. But yeah, we appreciate all the support. We have 16 subscribers on YouTube right now, and if you think anyone will like it out there, just forward it on to them and tell them to get their ears ready for some fucking conversation. So,
hey, there's that Post Falls sewer.
Hey,
smell. Nothing like
Marking
it.
Landmarks driving podcast. Yeah.
Yes.
Boy.
I want everyone to know that Owen hasn't made a peep this whole drive.
Yep,
And then-
not one.
Until
And
we
then
started
as soon as we
rolling.
started going hot, he's a crazy person. So,
He wants in on the pod.
yes. So anyway, today, seeing as we're driving, it's the extra scoop. We're going to talk about driving stories, how we, any scary situations we were in when, when first learning to drive,
Oh,
just stuff like that.
Road
Nothing-
trips, that kind of thing.
Road trips, body dumps, things like that.
yeah.
Anyway,
Classic.
as always, Diana, my missus, she is in the back seat as
Yes.
per usual. Hi,
Driving
Diana.
Miss Daisy, we call it.
Driving Miss Daisy, women in the back. The men are up front. Greg is here as well,
Hey there.
and he's also single and ready to mingle. So
Right.
keep that in mind, fellas. So you thought I was going somewhere else with that one, didn't ya? So driving stories. So I
When
guess
did-
I'll. Diana can start.
Well, I was just going to ask, when did you start driving?
16.
16?
Yep. And actually, here's a good one. Just because it hit me right in the face as soon as you said, when did you start driving? So my dad has multiple sclerosis, and he has had it since like 1998. So when I learned to drive in like 2003, he was there with me on my test, and he has to have a handicap parking spot. And so I'm in my driving test. It's like the final test with like the guy with the clipboard and all that stuff. And so we do the driving test, and I did fucking awesome because I'm a guy, and it's fucking great. And that's it's by nature. Sorry, ladies. But so I do great. We pull into the Super One parking lot, and I'm just so programmed because I've been like driving with my dad, getting my like parent hours or whatever, that whenever I park, I have to park in the handicap spot for him. And I park in the handicap spot, and this teacher, he like looks over at me, and he's like, it was like a look of disdain. It was like, oh man, you've done really good up until now, and now you're gonna fuck it up by parking in a spot you're not supposed to be in.
He's like,
Well-
do you do this often?
Well, and so I park in the spot, and so I put he's like, right before he says something to the effect of like, what are you doing? I pull out my dad's like handicap sign, and I hang it on the thing, and he goes, well, I guess you do need that, don't you?
Hey.
All right, you did great. But
That's awesome.
It like turned on a dime,
Yeah.
like he was about to really ream into me. I feel like he would have failed me at that point,
Probably.
but I passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also got my license at 16, and when I did my driving test, so they have like the part where they make you park on a hill, and then they make sure that you turn your wheel the correct way and you put on your e-brake. So I did all that. He's like, all right, let's go ahead and go. And I had a 93 Cadillac Seville, and the way the e-brake worked on that was when you put it in gear, it would automatically, this truck's just loud as shit.
I
So
know.
that's cool.
Nice. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. When you put it in gear, it's supposed to automatically disengage the e-brake. So I put it in drive. E-brake did not disengage.
Wow.
Put it in park again. Put it in drive again. Didn't do it. And the drivers or the instructors like, are we ready to go? And I'm like, well, I guess so. So
Oh, gee.
pulled out, e-brake's still on, and he's like, all right, let's go ahead and get on the freeway. And internally I'm like, oh, fuck.
Wow.
brakes fully on. This isn't gonna be good. So we get on the freeway. I got it all the way to the floor. We're going 55, and I'm literally flooring it. You can smell the brakes burning.
Oh man.
He like kind of leans over and looks at the speedometer, and he's like, "Can we go ahead and up the speed a little bit?"
You're like,
I was
that's
like,
a negative.
"Yeah, no problem." And I kind of like let off the gas so
Well,
that I
stop
could
being a
floor it
fucking
again, so
pussy.
that we could get kind of like that little jolt, you know.
Didn't know we were driving grandma today.
and then he had me take the off ramp. Car didn't blow up.
Thank
I
God.
was
Yeah.
lucky. I don't think I knew that you could drive with the e-brake on, like that it would actually
Oh,
go.
I have a story similar.
You kind of just force it through. Yeah, it's not good.
That's funny. When I
Can we
took
shut
my,
that baby up?
That is your beautiful son.
I love him so much. Can we pop a bottle in his mouth though?
He won't take it. He's currently eating some yogurt bites.
Oh, and do you want some money? Just pipe down.
When I took my driving test, I was also I was 15 when I took it, because then you can get your driver's license, but then you can't drive at night until you're 16. I actually kind of got into a mode where I was just driving, and I kind of forgot that the instructor was there. So we're on 95, and
Lurped a huge fart.
no, stupid. No, and I'm going, and there's like a semi truck. I'm like, get out of the way. Like, I was like in my head, get out of the way. And so I like change lanes and go to pass him and stuff. Don't remember how fast I was going to pass him. But apparently I didn't do too terribly, because he said, and you did a good job, you know, with the passing the semi. Like,
you go.
I actually got it okay. So
Nice.
the written test was a different story.
Yeah,
Only I got as many wrong as you were allowed to with still passing.
me too.
Nice.
Yeah,
Matt.
that's way better than most people.
One of the ones I missed for sure that I remember to this day because they made me feel like a fucking asshole about it was if you've been drinking, what's the best way to sober up? And the
Drive
answer,
faster.
No, the answer is stupid. The answer is time. And I put coffee, of course. Coffee. They made me feel like a real asshole about that.
That's
They're like,
great.
Yeah, pretty great. But no, as far as I had, so when I was like 13 or 14, my sister, she drove the family like hand-me-down Ford Taurus, 94 Ford Taurus, and I thought I'd be fucking like rebellious and cool one day, and so it was like after school, it was in like 8th, 7th, 8th grade, and so after school one day, like she was home, I don't know what she was doing, but I stole her car keys, and I took the car for a little joyride, like just around the neighborhood though. And
At what age?
like 13, 14. Because I was like ready to drive and I was like getting excited or whatever. And so I like went out there. I started the car. It was an automatic, so it was easy. I started the car and I pulled back and I literally just like cruised around like our neighborhood and I went like up and around or whatever. But I didn't understand that what an e-brake was. The windows were rolled up and I didn't hear shit. But then finally at one point I like rolled the window down a little bit as I was like slowly cruising through the neighborhood, and all I heard was like, oh god. So I'm freaking like, I'm like, holy shit, what's happening? Like, is this driving? Am I doing something wrong?
Just drive.
Didn't know what was going
Oh
on.
my
I
God.
pulled it back into the driveway and like ran away from the car. Like I threw the keys on the counter or whatever, and I was just like, oh, never again.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was so cool, but then I just realized that literally everyone in the neighborhood can hear and probably see
Yeah.
me driving like a piece of shit. Yeah.
My dad had this, it was like early 2007 series BMW, and
Nice name drop.
it's important to
It's
the
a
story.
yeah, it's good.
And so he wanted me to run an errand for him, and he was like, "Well, can I take your BMW?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Did you say BMW or Beamer?
I said BMW, so I'm not an
I hate
idiot.
people who say
Yeah.
Beamers.
So I like go to the store and I drive past my friend's house because I know that he'll probably be outside, and my dad had just got it or something. They liked cars, so I went over there and showed him. I was like, "Yeah, it's really quick too," and then I just fucking floored it. And it was on Rude, so I went got up to like 60 miles an hour,
Oh,
like
jeez.
go across Prairie, get into my parents' driveway and stop. And it had been raining, so I stop and the whole car, like, it looks like it starts to smoke. I'm like, oh my god, I fucking broke it. But it was all the rain and then the heat of the engine
Yeah.
was just steam. Oh my god, I was scared.
When I was in high school, a friend of like our group, wasn't really like a friend or anything, but he had a Mercedes, and we were all hanging out one night, and there windshield wiper. It was a sedan,
Oh.
a little older one, so it just has the one. And it broke somehow, and it was raining that night. So he's like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So until we were just driving around, because at like 16, 17,
Right,
really there's not much to do, so
yeah.
you just kind of drive around and stuff. And so the other guy that was with him opened the sunroof as it's raining, and he's like using the windshield wiper through the sunroof, and all of us were like, oh yeah, that's so funny.
That's awesome.
What was your first car?
First car that I drove,
No, first car you were was like, oh hey,
That
this
was
is
like
your car.
it was like a 1980 Toyota Land Cruiser. I never
Nice.
drove it.
Why?
I don't know. Me and my dad fixed it up and sold it.
No, it's okay. What was the first car you drove regularly?
Yeah, that's why I said that. That 93 Cadillac Seville that I had in my driving test.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you ever see Greg on the streets, whether at a gay bar or wherever, he's got this picture of him in like high school. I think it was a senior picture
Yeah.
of him all thugged out with the Cadillac in the background, and it could be like a rap album cover.
It's pretty fantastic.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's looking hard AF. He's
I got
Did you
the
have a Lakers jersey?
Kobe jersey looking clean.
swagging like crazy. I love that picture.
Got the khaki Dickies going.
Yeah.
The maroon Cadillac DeVille with the tan cloth top in the
At
background.
least he had something cool. So I went.
That wasn't my first car.
What the fuck is your first car?
The Seville, not the one in the picture.
Oh, okay.
The one in the picture was the sedan DeVille.
Okay, you're picking the litter.
Yeah, I've had like 10 vehicles.
So, Owen, what was your first car?
Me?
No, Owen.
Oh.
How about you, Diana? What was your first car?
My first car was a 1988 two-door Nissan Pathfinder.
Hell yeah. I
It
can
was
see it.
hand-me-down.
Was it gold?
It was red.
Oh.
It was a hand-me-down from my dad from when we moved up here. He sold his car in California and had to buy something with four-wheel drive because we were moving to Idaho.
Hey.
So, yeah, it's a pretty good car.
We drove up here in a black Ford Bronco. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like Broncos. Well, okay, so when I was like growing up, it was like, all right, it's time to buy your first car, and my dad and I were gonna go out. My mom was really excited, and my dad and I were gonna go out. We're gonna buy my first car, and all I wanted was like a Ford Ranger or like a Bronco or a Chevy K5 Blazer or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Something badass,
Yeah.
like the other kids at school.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah, like fuck yeah, let's go. We went to a few different dealerships, and finally we ended up in Post Falls at Soupy's Auto Sales, which is not there anymore. And
Sounds about right.
yeah, and I told my dad, we had breakfast at like Denny's, which apparently was like a tradition or something like that when you went and got your first car and all this other stuff. And so we went and got breakfast, and I'm looking through like the Nichols Worth or whatever, like the car, places for used cars. I was like, oh, here's this for like 10,000, and here's this for like 8,000. And I'm like,
Damn.
yeah, I know. I was like ready. And so we finally go to Soupy's Auto Sales, and my dad essentially was like, well, you're not getting a truck, you're not getting this, you're not getting that. I'll buy you this, and take it or leave it.
I can
And
see your dad doing that.
I was
That's
so
awesome.
upset. I was like, well, what about that truck over there? It was like a 1984 or something. He's like, nope, this or take it or leave it. What he ended up buying me was an $800 1983 Buick Skylark.
Tight.
It was one of the worst days of my life. I was like, I woke up that morning, I got all dressed and stuff like that. I was like, oh man, today's the day. I'm gonna fucking do this. It was, it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it. So, 1983 Buick Skylark. This thing was $800. It was super clean. I guess that's one thing. I guess it belonged to some old folks or something that took really good care of it. And at that point in time, we went home, drove it home, and I was trying to like make the best of it and also be kind of nice and everything like that. And so we get home with it, and my mom and all my sisters pile in, and we're like, and my mom just looks at me. She's in the backseat. She looks at me in the rearview mirror. She's like, "You hate it, don't you?" And I was like, "No, I like it. It's it's good. I like this and this," and like pointing out different things. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you hate it so much." And she was actually pissed at my dad.
Really?
Oh yeah. She's like, "I can't believe it. Like you would like do that." They probably had like a big fight about it later. Because she was like serious. I was actually really surprised that my mom was like as upset.
Yeah.
But here's the thing though, like years later, when I look back on it, that was like the best car I've ever owned because it was $800.
Yep.
I had it for like 3 or 4 years. The only thing that ever went bad on it was brake pads that we just had to replace. The freaking everything, it was an 83, so everything was steel. So the radio knobs were steel, the freaking air vent knobs were steel, everything on this fucking thing was steel. It had like that dark red, like a maroon type thing, but like a felt seat interior. Man, that car was the fucking best.
What color was the paint?
It was like a gold silverish.
Alright.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, well, but that's the thing. Me and that car had some great effing times, and it was a tank.
Yeah.
I was in Hastings one time, and I had somebody, like, when they were going into park, they like rammed my back left. And I came out of Hastings, and they were waiting for me. They're like, "Oh my gosh!" It was like this lady, like middle-aged lady. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had to stay and just let you know, I hit your car." And she was driving like a Kia, and her whole right front end was like bashed in. And so like for her it was really bad. I was like, "Are you sure you hit me?" I looked at the damage on mine. It was maybe like a quarter-size dent.
Damn.
Because, you know, cars these days and even in the early
they're all
2000s were
plastic
just
bullshit.
fiberglass and shit. And this thing was just a monster. And I was like, she's like, "So what would you like to do?" And I'm like, "No, don't even worry about it." I'm like, she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't even worry about it. My stuff's fine. Yours not so much." You know, I'm like 17, so I was kind of an asshole about it. Anyway, so I miss that car to this day. And actually, I've actually gone on like car websites before, like trying to track it down.
That's funny.
Oh god, it was just such a good car. And but it's such a weird thing because it actually taught me a really good lesson, because I was so like bummed out about it at first, but then it turned out to be like one of my favorite cars that I've ever had.
My 96 sedan.
Thanks, Dad. Love you, Dad.
That red one that we were just talking about that I had in my senior picture. I walked out of school one day and I saw two of my friends kind of standing like 10 feet behind my car, and they both kind of had like their hand up by their mouth, and so I was like a little questionable, like, what's going on here? And I am walking up, and they turn around, and one of them was like, "Oh fuck," and I was like, "What's going on?" And they just point, and this girl was backing out and started scraping my car, like midway in the back right door. And then there was scrape marks all the way back until she got past the door. And this is a Cadillac, so the doors are like 4 feet long. And then a giant dent above the back right wheel well, because she just backed the whole thing through there.
So she's like, "Am I hitting it? Am I hitting it?"
Exactly. Yeah.
And the whole time it's like,
So I walk up and I see her in her car, and I'll never forget. She's this. In 3rd grade, I was in a checkers tournament, and she beat me in the championship.
Really?
This bitch. And
Wow.
yeah, it's no joke.
What a mortal enemy you made.
And I was like, "Hi, so you hit my car?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Here's my dad's phone number."
What if she just said, "King me, bitch"?
Shit. I probably would have blacked out. And then she's like, "Is there anything wrong with my car?" And I go up to the bumper that she for sure used to scrape through mine, and there's like a tiny scratch.
Yeah, dude.
I was like, "God, I fucking hate you."
What kind of car was she driving?
It was like a newer Jeep.
Oh, jeez.
And then her dad got in contact, or my dad called her dad to try and get it figured out, and then he lost his phone number, and nothing ever happened with it, and I just had a fucking dent above my wheel well forever.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was cool.
Did you ever accessorize your car?
Oh, I was on Dubs.
You were on Dubs?
Oh, fuck yeah, I was on Dubs. That was like my graduation present.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep,
That's
they
pretty
were worth
sweet.
more than the car.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
The only thing I had, because at the time that I got that car, like 2004, 2003, Fast and the Furious was still, okay, first of all, a little tangent, Fast and the Furious was still Fast and the Furious. It wasn't like fucking secret agent missions and shit. It was like racing and stuff like that. And the big thing at that point in time was like lights under the thing.
I thought you were gonna say Nas.
Oh no. Well, yeah, like Nas in a '83 Skylark Suite.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, man, this car, make the best of it. It's a car. And so I went to Napa Auto Parts, and I bought a little LED like colored light.
Yep.
I think it was like purple or blue that you could plug in. It went from purple to blue to white.
Yeah.
You could plug into your cigarette lighter, and I put it like under the passenger seat like dash, and I just like put it like there was double-sided tape or whatever. I thought it was the coolest fucking thing. Anytime I got in the car, I don't care if it was morning on the way to school, I didn't care what. I always leaned over, plugged that bitch in, and turned it on, and I just felt like Ludacris.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah. But then like after feeling all cool and you know, I had a tape deck or tape cassette player or whatever, so I was able to, you know, do the CD player thing. So I'd be bumping on the way to school. Pretty decent sound system on that 83. But then I'd get out of the car, like, and park with all the other people at school, and I'd realize, God damn it, I have the worst car in this parking lot. Like, just the lamest car.
I always like to accessorize with the, like, window decals, like stickers.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. Like, I was never allowed to put them on the bumper, but my dad didn't care if I put them on the window. So, oh my God, there were stickers, like, all over the place. And not, like, just stickers. It was, like, you know, the stereotypical, like, Hawaiian hibiscus flower. I had like a palm tree. I had like a Von Dutch sticker.
Oh God,
on
I forgot about Von Dutch. Oh,
I never really had the sticker game.
I had the Hawaiian flower seat covers and the steering wheel cover and the sun visor. So it was more like the girly version of accessorizing.
that is so much like more clutter than I expect from you.
Oh, well, it wasn't really like cluttery.
Organized.
Yeah, because I mean, like the
showy stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the seat covers were, you know.
Now here's the real
Fitted and
question:
whatnot.
did you ever have a custom-made hood ornament?
No.
Have I ever told you about my custom-made hood ornament?
Oh
Absolutely
my
not.
God.
So this all happened spur of the moment. It is middle of December. Let me paint a picture for you. It's the middle of December. It's cold out there. It's fucking like 5 feet of snow on the ground. And have I told you this story, Diana?
No.
So you're not gonna like this one. It's really cold. On the way to school, I'm driving down like right outside my house neighborhood or whatever, and I see like a little something on the berm. I'm like, what the hell is that? And so I'm like, holy shit, it's a duck. It's a duck that died,
Aww.
frozen solid, but like in a point. Like I'm talking like straight as an arrow. This thing from bill to feet was perfect, and it just hit me subconsciously out of instinct. I immediately hit the brake. I immediately pulled over. I went out there. I grabbed that dead frozen ass duck. I packed some snow on the front of my car, like on the hood. I was like, holy shit, that's a hood ornament. Like that's what went through my mind. I packed this duck down in snow on my car.
You just touched it?
Huh?
You just
I had
touched it?
gloves.
Oh.
And I just packed snow around this dead duck. But it was, I'm telling you, it was
Disgusting.
straight as an arrow, and I was like, fuck, that's awesome. I drove around with a dead duck as a hood ornament for like a week because I kept my car outside, so it was just cold.
That's
Oh my
amazing.
Oh, I got to school, people are like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, duck, you see it? You see it? It was so great. And then finally, after like a week's worth of just revelry,
Yeah.
I laid him back to rest because I love animals, but he was already dead. I mean, he brought joy to a lot of people.
That's
In his
amazing.
final acts. So anyway, I brought him back to where I found him. I buried him under the snow. I wished his spirit good luck, and I thanked him for his service. And that's not a joke. Like I legitimately was like, thank you so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, but oh my God, the looks I was getting on the streets, at school, fucking anywhere I went, there's just fucking this mallard duck just like froze. It was so badass. God, it was badass.
Gosh, that's so dumb.
Oh, it was so great. I should have gotten a picture. Fuck, it was great.
So I have a spooky driving story. Me and my friends were at a party out around Hayden Lake, and like pretty far around Hayden Lake. And if anybody's ever driven around Hayden Lake, you know that the roads are really windy and
It's dark.
It's dark as shit at night.
Scary.
So we're leaving to go to a different party, and I'm in that same red sedan DeVille, and there's at least 5, possibly 6 people in there, including me. And so we're leaving, and we're going, and I notice a tow truck on the side of the road, and the headlights are off, but all the running lights are on, like all the little orange lights, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like the second we pass it, it flips its brights on and gets right on my ass.
Jeez.
And like to the point where it's pretty sketchy.
So you think it's a cop, probably?
No, not at all. I saw that it was a tow
You
truck.
knew it. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Ooh, fuck.
Yeah. So I'm going, and I'm like, it's 25 through there, and it's like you gotta go 25 because it's sketchy as shit.
Wow.
I was
What
going
time of year
60.
was it? What time of year was it?
Summer?
Okay, so not like winter.
No. I was
60 miles
I was
per
going
hour?
60, and he was on my ass
Holy
the
shit.
whole time. and we're going. We're going, and I see 3 cars on the left side of the road, and same thing. They all have their headlights on, but they all have their running lights on. They all have their headlights off, sorry, and their running lights on. We pass them. All 3 of them turn their lights on, flip onto the road, and get behind the tow truck.
Like aiding
Yeah.
you?
Huh?
Like, are they aiding you?
I don't know what they're doing. So now all of these cars are on, like, right behind me. Everybody
like
in the
they're
car
all
is like, "What the
together."
fuck is
Yeah.
going on?" Like, we all think we're about to get murdered.
You probably were. They had to have
No,
been doing
I
some
think
shit.
I think they were trying to intimidate, like they watched Jeepers Creepers or something like that, and there was a whole group of people that was probably trying to totally intimidate you.
But yeah, I
Or they
ended
were
up
dumping a couple of hookers' bodies. And they
ended
didn't
up,
want any fucking
ended up
witnesses.
turning off Lancaster onto Rimrock, and they all went straight. But it was like, what in the fuck?
Dude, I would have freaked out.
Yeah, man, I was freaking out.
Good.
Gosh.
Now, how high were you?
Not at all.
Slow pull on the coffee right before you said that.
Yeah. One of my favorite driving stories that isn't actually my driving story, it was before I started driving, when my sister, who's 5 years older, was driving, and we went to Target to get some stuff, and she was pulling into the parking lot, and she hit the back of some guy's car that was next to her, and like the front of her car, and instantly, I mean, if you know my sister, instantly it was tears and overreaction and like very emotional situation and stuff. And so this is how long ago it was. I had to go inside Target, use the payphone, call my mom, and of course I had to be the one that did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, Chrissy hit some guy in Target parking lot with the car. Oh, that sounds like she hit him, like the person hit some guy's car.
Chrissy's a murderer.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a theme in this
and the-
podcast?
And the first thing my mom says is, "How bad's she crying?"
Well, she knows her daughter.
Yep.
No, but I'm noticing a distinct theme in this podcast of ladies hitting shit. Seriously, like we all have a story of a lady hitting one of us, or like us hitting, well, not you and me, of course, because you know, but
Stupid.
Actually,
I'll test your theory there. Isn't Mikey the one that hit Sarah in the Coeur d'Alene High School parking lot?
No.
Sarah hit Mikey?
Sarah hit Mikey.
Oh man.
Bingo. I was still at 100%.
They've been together that long?
Yes, when she was in high school. That's when they first met.
Wow.
The only time I ever hit a parked car was in the Kmart
Shout out to
parking
Sarah
lot.
and Mikey.
Hey.
Hey, got him. I'll give it 5 more years.
Matt.
I'm kidding.
Jesus.
That's so fucked up. Sorry, I love you.
We're getting a phone call.
Yikes, yeah, that's going to be a text. What was I going to say? Oh, the only time I ever hit a parked car was when I was in the Kmart parking lot. And you know how like they have the parking lanes kind of specifically Pet Cemetery. Oh, no, Pedney Cemetery. We're passing a cemetery and
That's
I'm
his
not
peony?
about it.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's fucking cemetery. There's just dead people right here, okay? That's why I don't like it. Anyway. Spooky, episode 7.
This is 8.
What?
This is episode 8.
No, this is a one-off. This is the extra scope.
Okay.
What was I saying?
You said, okay.
What was I saying?
You hit someone in the
Oh yeah, I
parking
hit.
lot.
Kmart
Can I finish my damn story?
No.
So I pull into the Kmart parking lot, and I'm doing it the opposite direction of where you're supposed to, because they have the
Sounds
parking
about right.
lot. Yeah. Anyway, so I pull in, and I just nailed like the passenger, or not the passenger, the driver's side,
Yeah.
behind the back seat,
Yeah.
back door. Just nail that, and I'm like, fuck. I throw it in reverse. My initial instinct was to
hit and
throw it
run?
in. Oh yeah. Throw it in reverse and get the hell out of there. And this lady, she lays on her horn that's right in front of me. She would have been right in front of me had I been able to park. And she just fucking points at me like a Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
She was like, you! And I literally was like, I was in reverse, and I literally threw it back into drive to park finally. And I went up, and I was just like, yeah. I just threw my hands up and like, you busted me. You know.
Because you were
Jesus.
gonna run. Oh my god. When I used to drive the delivery car for work, and so I would literally be in the car.
Make sure you don't mention names.
I know.
State Line Showgirls.
I was stupid. I would be on the road literally for like 5 or 6 hours a day. So most of my day was just driving around. So I saw a lot of weird, like horrible driving and like people doing dumb shit.
Mhm.
But one of the things that was the scariest was I was driving up 4th Street, and it's 2 lanes one way, and I was in the left-hand lane, and I was going the speed limit, being a perfect driver, and there was an old lady in the right-hand lane. All of a sudden, this old bitch goes to make a left-hand turn onto one of the side streets, and she's just enough ahead of me to where like she's gonna hit me. I slam on my brakes. Luckily there was like nobody behind me or anything like that. She makes the turn, sees what she has done, and I'm like, I turn because I'm totally freaked out onto the side street behind her because I just like couldn't keep going after that. And I roll down my window, and her window was down, and I look at her and I go, not okay. That is not okay.
Man.
And this old lady's like, sorry. And I'm like just so pissed. I was like shaking.
Like throwing stuff at her.
Oh, if I had something to throw.
Get out of
I
the car,
would.
you old bitch!
I
Wanna
was
fuck with me?
I was so pissed.
Okay, can we, I just want to touch on this subject. I brake for any animal in the animal kingdom.
Same.
I don't care if it's a squirrel. I don't care if it's a turkey. I don't give a shit what it is. I'm braking for it. There's people that I can see like behind me that when I brake for like a little squirrel or something like that, they're like obviously like come on.
Irritated, yeah.
They get
Yeah.
the hands up.
You know what? If you're one of those people, you need to have a little more empathy for these little creatures. Because I always brake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I wasn't even sure if I did it, but I might have accidentally ran over some quail.
Oh.
I called my mom, and I was like,
And a quail.
just tears. It was so devastating, but yes, no, I always brake for animals. Actually, one of the scariest things that ever happened to me, I was driving, and you know when like you get these kamikaze birds?
Oh yeah.
I had this fucking bird that, no joke, I'm driving and it goes in between my windshield and the radio antenna on the hood of the
Jeez.
the Pathfinder. I was just like, I could not have come closer to hitting that bird or that bird hitting me.
Yeah.
Birds are dumb.
Yeah.
I love them,
birds.
but birds, some of them are real fucking dumb. You ever wash your car and just had a big old bird diarrhea like all over like
Right after you wash
literally.
your car?
Oh, yeah.
You too?
Did you diarrhea on the car?
Oh.
Now, what about road trips? Have
Fucking
you,
love road trips.
So first one I went on was spring break junior year. My friends Hunter and Jake, we went to Portland. Talked about it in the Ghost episode a little bit, but
Shout
yeah,
out Ghost episode.
it was a blast. So drove to Portland, just blasting Metallica the whole time.
Fuck yeah.
In Portland, all the freeways are 55 miles an hour because they're a bunch of Sallys. So we'd all be driving, and like even whoever was behind the wheel was air guitaring on the freeway, just having a great time.
Now, did you share the driving?
We did.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so like the way there, me and Jake were big fans of cruise control, and Hunter was not. And so like there'd be times when Hunter's driving, and I'm like, something felt off, and I like look over, and I'm like, Hunter, you're going 98. He's like, oh shit.
Jeez.
That drive sucks though.
Yeah.
Because once you get down like into Oregon, it's just a straight shot to Portland essentially.
Yeah.
That's the worst drive because it's so fucking boring.
How about those trees though?
Yeah, that's true.
All the trees that are lined up perfectly
and then you're
straight.
right by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's aliens. That's aliens doing it.
The
Right
first road trip Matt and I took, we drove from here to Seattle, and he made me drive the whole time, and he was in charge of the radio the whole time.
I'm sorry.
It's a real dick move.
It is a dick move.
Well, you know, when you have a driver, it's not much better than that. Am I right?
At least you knew who was the better driver.
Excuse me. I believe we listened to the Goofy movie soundtrack cassette tape like the whole way. So first
No,
of all,
that was just a small portion on the way back that you finally
second
let
of all, I was also the snack leader. So if you needed a snack, we packed like fruit snacks. Finding Nemo fruit snacks. I'll have everyone know.
I feel like you're deflecting the
He
main
is.
points here.
I will comment on one of our other road trips that we had done in California. We drove from Anaheim to San Luis Obispo, and before we left Anaheim, we grabbed some breakfast at Jack in the Box, and I was the one driving again because I was the only one.
Your from
We
California.
Exactly. We actually have a good system when we're in California. I'm always the one that drives because Matt's a better navigator. Because for whatever reason, I can't decipher the like GPS on the phone like in enough time. Like I don't understand. I'm not very good at like in 98 yards you're gonna go this way. I'm like I don't fucking know how long that is. So he'll be in the wrong lane, and I'm saying the wrong
Valedictorian,
lane.
everybody.
Stupid. So he's a better navigator. I'm a better driver.
Well, I feel like when you drive in big
Cattails.
cities,
Oh,
Sorry, they got tigers on our right. Big deal.
yeah.
Oh.
Big cats.
I feel like well, you just fucked me over on the cattails.
Anyways, so we were taking this probably like 4-hour drive, and we were stopping in Jack in the Box on our way to get breakfast, and my dumbass decides to get oatmeal, and I'm the driver.
Yikes. Yeah. That's
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Not
I
one
feel
of my
like
better moves.
I feel like in big cities, I'm just not very good. Like and so I feel like you have to have a certain amount of crazy and a certain amount of rage
yeah.
to get into those and fully into those situations and really come out nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I've driven around.
You have to command the road.
Don't get me wrong. I've driven around Los Angeles. I've driven around Seattle and stuff like that. I can do it. It's just
It's not fun.
It's not fun at all,
Yeah.
and it doesn't phase her one fucking bit. And so I'm like, motorcycle right between me. What the fuck is that about?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's just how it is. Like whatever. Just blah, 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 blah. And so I just don't like that kind of stuff.
I hate driving in big cities.
Everyone I mean, for some reason, Diana's a freaking pro at it. She sucks driving everywhere else, but in a big city, she comes alive.
I do.
Well, we're almost to our destination, so I think this is probably a good spot to end. This is a one-off episode. This is the Extra Scoop, the Extra Scoop 1, I guess. We're also going to be doing, we discussed yesterday, we're also going to start doing movie review podcasts. We're going to do maybe a few different kind of fun little things, but we have our mainline series, which is going to continue for sure, and that's obviously just the episode 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Someone's a fan. There's one subscriber. So anyway, again, let us know if you're listening. Share your road rage stories, any cool driving stories with us, and of course, spread the word if you have any friends or family members who like off-color comedy and discussions. Then there you go. Any final words on the drive or the first ever Extra Scoop? Okay.
Our cherry on top was quite vocal this episode.
Yeah.
And
If you didn't like that, then you're a monster because he's just a baby. So I guess whatever. But yeah, otherwise we'll catch you guys next time on the Extra